Attention musicians of all levels. It's not always easy picking out a song by ear. Sometimes you need a little help. Well, I have the app for you. Whether you're a professional musician or a beginner, Ultimate Guitar is an amazing app. For just $2.99, you get the chords and tabs on guitar, bass, or ukulele for over 1 million songs. They're all available at your fingertips. You also get tools like a tuner, metronome, chord library, lessons, videos, and more. You can find out any song you want. It also has like transpose button. It has auto scroll that you can change the speed to so you can play along with the song. A lot of the songs have the lyrics there so you can sing along with them. Ultimate Guitar is an amazing app. Just go to ultimateguitar.com or download the app to your phone today and start playing. Start playing any song you want. Ultimate Guitar, that's the place for you. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys are all having a good week or had a good weekend or whatever it is that's going on. I'm a little out of it, a little bit of confused. I came to Houston last week to visit my cousin. My cousin and her son came in from New York, so I came down to visit, hang out with the family at my grandma's house. But my grandma got sick with a UTI, had to go to the emergency room. When she came back, there was some serious, differences. There was almost like she had gotten dementia out of the blue all of a sudden and really was having a hard time remembering things, wasn't feeling well, was actually getting very anxious because of that stuff because she was like, what's happening to me and all this stuff. And was, getting into a point on Friday and Saturday where she was asking for her phone and to call certain people so she could tell them goodbye. And that was very heavy. You're in a house with your whole family. A bunch of people are staying here and emotions are high. Everyone's handled it pretty well, though. Really, there's been little bouts of crying here and there. But, that's what happens, man. You get old. My grandma's going to be 99 on the 19th of this month. In 9 days, she'll be 99. So, anyway, she's gone to the geriatric doctor and she'll be back this afternoon, but hopefully she'll do all right. She'll make it through whatever it is she makes it through and, on to the next phase. But I've been, it's difficult because I'm really close to my grandmother and really close. Like I've always been really close. I was the only grandchild for 7 years. So we developed a really tight bond and we get along really well. And she's always been there for me. And she's always been like the safe place I can go wherever she is. And really my whole life, and just really, really means a lot to me. And, while it is very sad that you're getting to this time in someone's life that you're that close to, a lot of what I'm feeling right now is so much gratitude to have had a grandmother so much of my life. I mean, I'm going to be 54 this year. I'm 53 years old. Most 53-year-olds don't have a grandma that they talk to on the phone. So I was supposed to play these gigs on Saturday, these private gigs on Saturday, these 2 solo private gigs. Would have been great to play them, but I chose to stay because she was doing really bad that day, and I didn't want to be in someone's living room, and get that call or whatever. Jesus. Anyway, that's what I've been doing the past couple of days. But I feel good. This is all life. It's all part of life. This is the one thing is going to happen in life. This is the one thing you're absolutely guaranteed is going to happen, right? So, anyway, we all have older people in our lives, people that we got to take care of, people that we got to look out for. But I've been lucky to have my grandmother so long, and I'm very, very grateful for that. All right. Thank you for listening to what I had to say. Now, gang, I do have a great show for you today. Jane Ellen Bryant and Daniel Leopold from Jane Leo are my guests on the show. Now, these two guys I've been friends with for a long time. Jane and I have been close friends for years now. She went through the Austin Music Foundation Artist Development Program a few years ago. She ended up singing on my record, Leper Hands. And we just have maintained this friendship, and we've been great pals. Also, Daniel Leopold from Leopold and His Fiction, who I've been a fan of since that band came out, since they very first started. They got together both as a couple and as a duo called Jane Leo. You can find them at janeleo.com. Man, they have an astounding... They both changed what they were doing musically. They changed their directions. They started making music that has a tinge of something you've never heard before. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot to do that. You know, before Jane Ellen Bryant, she was doing a very pop thing, and it sounded very pop. And Leopold and His Fiction, straight up rock band. And so they got together to do this thing, and it took them a little while for it to sort of like incubate this new sound, but it's come out and it's like nothing I've ever heard before, and it sounds just like them. They've got great songs like The More You Know, Tell Me, I'm on Your Mind, Borderline, available now. There's a single and video available now. These songs are produced by Danny Reicsh. Fantastic production on Danny's part. And the shit's really awesome. And I keep on comparing it to stuff like Devo. Like, when you hear it, you like it, and I mean, it's catchy, but it's not by any means cookie cutter pop in any way or rock in any way. It is its own style of music. And it was really great to sit down with Jane and Daniel out by the pool at my apartment, having a great time, shooting the shit. You can find them at janeleo.com. This music is fantastic. They just got off the road with the band Cannons. They had a great South by Southwest. So we sit down and have a great conversation about how they decided to start playing together and why it's taken so long for them to sort of develop this sound and how they did it. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Jane Ellen Bryant and Daniel Leopold from Jane Leo. Let's get down. This tour with this band Cannons?
We know their manager, friend of Daniel's. He just moved to town.
Yeah, he moved. He was a big fan of Leopold. When he came to town, he said, "I live here now. You live here now. Let's hang." This was 3 years ago or so.
Right.
And Cannons wasn't. I mean, they weren't where they're at now. You
right.
know? And so it never even crossed our path to think about it. And Jane Leo was like still just rummaging around, writing songs, doing this, but not really playing live or anything. And but we're cigar buddies, so we'll go sit in a cigar shop and just chit chat and talk about business, because there's not a lot of, as you know, not a lot of business infrastructure here. So for a manager to come here, he's sitting here saying, did I make the right move? What am I doing? I mean, I love it here, but you know, I just came from LA. What am I doing here? It's like, oh no, just it's different pace. If you just let things come to you, they'll cross your plate and you can grab it or not.
I have this conversation with people a lot, and you guys are good judges of this. I like that there's not a lot of industry here, because it gives you a chance to get your thing together and you can reach the industry when it's time.
I agree. Coming from Nashville, I feel like I left it because I needed to like explore and sort of discover myself, and it was so industry heavy there that it felt like you were just like all eyes on you at all times. Whereas here it's much more like you can get weird and develop some ideas and try them out, and maybe they work, maybe they don't. In the age of the internet, anybody anywhere can hear you. So
there's like a false sense of pressure in those major markets where, and then you end up sounding like the glossy Nashville sound or New York sound or LA sound just to fit in, but then how do you rise above that to even stand out to those opportunities? I mean, they come down here, we go out there to, show them that everyone needs to be a little bit different, I think. So
Right.
I mean, bands from all over, from random places make it, it's like wherever you're going to hone in your creativity the best is where I think it is best to be.
Right. The one thing about it is, like, when you go out, you're not networking with, like, your friend, the manager guy from Canada.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the one thing
that
about
true,
here.
yeah.
You're hanging out with.
And that would be cool to be able
Yeah.
to walk out and see a show and
Right.
actually meet somebody that maybe could change the game for you. But, it has its downfalls, obviously, as well. So.
That's also like low-hanging fruit, though, too, because, I mean, you're here in Austin and you're working your tail off, and then you travel just like anywhere. I mean, if you go to LA as an Austin band and stand out,
Yeah.
they love that even more, in my opinion, from my experience, from
Yeah,
the
for
olden
sure.
days. We'd go out there and then it'd be like a big ordeal, like agents and managers and all these things, not say a showcase, but they come out to the Echo, for instance, and be like, oh my God, they packed the Echo, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
from Austin. That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like, that's, but you're out there and you are doing your thing. You might talk to a manager or bandmate or this or that, but I mean,
Yeah, it's just different because it's not in your backyard, but that makes it more exciting when you do go.
Yeah.
it's true.
Daniel, I'm sorry. Sometimes when I'm talking to you and I haven't seen you in a long time,
Yeah.
I just think, like, God, he looks just like my cousin Al.
I
When he
know,
was
I-
it's so bad. I'm just
meet
like,
this guy. I gotta meet this
wow, you just look so much like him. When you're talking, it freaks me out.
We gotta make that introduction happen.
It's got to happen. You're
Yeah.
you're gonna be blown away.
I can't wait.
But he's a weird dude.
I love it. Where is he at again?
He's in Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh, we were just in
Super
Dallas.
Trump
We should have
dude.
had him out to our
Yeah.
show and just
Yeah.
Your twin.
next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Are you together as a couple or something? That's something that's happening here. That's your girlfriend.
I love that thought.
He's like, that's what he would say.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right, so let's talk about this music, because I know you guys on a. So we, oh, I thought he was like going to start sawing
Me
something.
too. It's like perfect. Perfect timing.
So I know you guys both musically. Daniel, I've seen you since Cowboy and Indian, and Jane, like whatever the last 7-something years, maybe I've been seeing you 8 years.
Yeah. Wild.
And listening to your music. And when I very first heard "Tell Me," which is the first song, that's the first song you put
Yeah,
out,
it's
right?
on the one you're
Okay.
right, yeah.
I mean, that. It seems like you guys went underground for a while and figured out a sound, and you came out with something that is not like what either of you were doing before. And like that song itself is so sparse and so kind of odd. It's almost like like in the same, not like Devo, but in that same spirit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, and it's great. And you guys landed on a sound that I don't really hear, but is still like modern and classic at the same time.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Does
that
That's-
make sense?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that song, all the first batch of songs that we have come out with, I mean, just were brewing for a couple of years, and it took a while, to figure out how to combine what we both were used to and get rid of old habits and whatever, but
And that's hard to
Yeah.
that's hard to do.
The hardest.
it's the
right?
hardest. Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, we actually took many stabs at that song, because I wrote that right after Leopold quit touring. I wrote that literally in the living room, acoustic guitar, and showed Jane, and she was like, "Oh, great song!" But it was in 6/8. It was like the whole ballad, like "I'm Caving In" ballad,
Right,
it's
right.
like, old school R&B, and we tried. I was like, "Oh, Jane, you should sing this." She tried it out, and it was like, "Oh, cool. It's sweet." But it was like Leopold with a girl singer, and that's
Right.
We recorded
Right.
it. It really wasn't hitting the mark. So then we tried another approach, and it was Four on the Floor. We tried
We tried multiple producers. We tried
Yeah.
multiple versions at home. Finally, like after all of that mess, we were like, Daniel
we tried
just
like,
was like
6 different
yeah,
producers to
yeah.
give like an opportunity to get out of our own heads
Yeah.
and really go into their zone and really shake it up. And it turned out it was full circle back in
Yeah.
our living room. We recorded the whole thing and just
Yeah.
said, "This is the way it's."
But
gonna
it like
be.
that song taught us how to like sing together specifically, and
It's not
and
easy.
then not easy. Yeah, it was like
Two
the
lead
hardest. It's still
singers,
like one of our
you'd
hardest songs to
think,
sing, but yeah, but it. And then other things we started writing and forming around it. But that song was like, okay, well, this is one we could sing together and try to figure out. But
we
yeah.
had that discussion. We're like, what is we know Jane was like kind of folk, sometimes freak folk, sometimes pop.
Freak folk.
Leopold is this like psychedelic garage thing.
Yeah.
What have we not been able to achieve in our personal, element that we'd like to? And Devo was a huge one, and the sax solo in the middle of Tell Me is definitely David Bowie-esque.
Yeah.
And so we're just like, wow, I've always wanted to do something like that. It's like, well, why can't we? I've always wanted to have 808s. I always wanted to have, write for a female perspective. So, I mean, those lyrics can easily translate to anyone can sing them, but then to sing them together, that's even, you know.
It made sense for it was like really the first song we learned to sing together, and also the first one that like we both, to come out of the gate with that one, it's like, okay, we are a duo now.
True.
But yeah, it's already evolved so much even since that came out. So
yeah, I mean, it's really amazing.
Thank you.
It's actually, I have to say, after you guys telling me that it took a while to get it together, it was very encouraging, because I was like, please don't tell me they fucking came up with this and it was nothing, man. We just did this thing and it was great.
No, it was really hard.
Yeah, because that is hard, because you both knowing you both musically, that's not like you could play that for somebody and they would never know it was either of you guys.
Right.
No, totally. It was a complete direction shift. The whole album is for both of us. Like for me as a singer, especially, it's like I'm a different person.
There's not a lot of super belting.
No. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And as like I came.
Was that hard to break out of, and not that you were like but you could.
Well, so like, oh God, tell me about that. I came from like music school training where like in order to be good, it was like what highest, loudest notes can you hit, and it like and so like that mindset was a mind fuckery, like just to come down from that for years. And so I would write like that, trying to shut those notes off, because like that's what I thought was like good. But in reality, I don't listen to that many things that have those kind of like screeching.
Exactly.
That's not that's not actually what I like to listen to. I mean, I appreciate it when I hear it, but like it's not what I'm drawn to. But I do love it when it's like a random, unexpected thing, but not just like in your face all the time. But I would do a lot of that in my solo stuff. And by the time we met, I was just so burnt on it. And so he was not gonna it was just not his style. So it was like so hard to figure out what my identity was as a singer and like in this band and whatever. Like it was like mental breakdown, freaking out, not knowing like what it is. But
so, that's what I was gonna ask, is if it made you sad. And you're like, shit, man.
I think it just all coincided. Like when we met, we both had hit like a wall with where we were at musically and in our own endeavors, and it also was so representative of where I was in life. And it was a season of like realizing, okay, let's take everything off of your, metaphorically speaking, bookshelf, because all the things on your bookshelf are maybe things that your parents thought you should have, or the school you went to thought you should have, or your friends, or whatever. Take it all off and then only put on a book if you know for sure that that's what you want on there. Right. And so like with every aspect of my life and my singing and everything, I was having to do that. Right. And
these are the conversations so many bands will get in a room and just be loud, and we're like, cool, we love that. And then they walk away, and next thing you know, no one likes the song they came up with or the album, and then no one says anything because, we're in like-minded bands with Leopold and Skyrocket, where you can get in there and just bash out a song, and you're like, cool, that we did something, and sometimes it turns out great. Anyways, with this, there are a lot of long talks in the sense of your voice is one of the best I've heard live. Yeah. And what do you want to do with that? Don't compare it to anyone you've heard, but like, what do you want to do show tunes? Because we can go in that direction. And that was a quick no. So I said, okay, well, in order to get away from that, what do we have to do? And because I'm not a singer. I just happen to sing out words, and they're sometimes in key, right? Well, with Jane, it's like a very, very fine-tuned instrument. So it's like, okay, well, how do we get away from that? So we literally had to like discuss the deconstruction of it all. Yeah, we spent hours in our living room, him coaching me trying to sing these songs that we were writing in like a certain vibe, and like vowels and all these things that I would do that were just like overly trained and overly thought out and just like big habits.
but we have like opposite strength, where he has like all the vibe. His training was everything that he like listened to and just got out there and belted it out, whereas mine was like so technical, and I can sing like opera if I wanted to, you know.
Right.
And so we helped each other in like opposite ways, where I was like, no,
Totally
like, you're
opposite,
totally
yeah.
out of key when you're singing this, and he's
Yeah.
like, well, you're totally like, makes me want to turn the music off because you're singing so loud. Yeah. Like, so it was like,
That's rude.
well, I mean,
I understand.
yeah, it was a hard
So is that-
process. Yeah.
Can I say, like, okay, so that's a lot, but at the same time, you were like becoming a couple
All
at
at the same time. Yeah. All
Fuck, dude,
brand
that's
new.
a lot of
It was-
stuff,
yeah.
man.
It's a really good
That's
foundation,
a lot of.
though. 'Cause, like,
I guess so, right?
but we had one argument.
You learned how to argue.
Yeah,
plus.
yeah,
we
well,
argued about music. Like,
we
that
had
was
an
it.
argument early on, like a month or two in, and it was, I can't even tell you what it was about because it was so whatever.
Sure.
And but it was literally like after dinner, we went out, and then it was like this thing, and I was like, listen, I have zero tolerance. I have no energy for any of this. Let's save our energy and arguments for the battlefield and, in the studio or in
Yeah.
the songwriting. And seriously, we both pointed in that direction, and that's the only thing we ever get in an argument about is if the song
True.
should be like this or if the band should do this. And then our lives are actually so much more simple outside of the band. Everything's so smooth and so easy going. It's crazy. I mean, I don't suggest anyone in their right mind to do
what we're doing.
what we're doing, but
Right,
it's also, I mean, it's therapy. It's practically free therapy. So
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm happy for both of you too.
Thank you. I
'Cause
mean, people
think
thought
both
we
of
were
you are
probably
great.
insane when we were first getting started, but it was like what we both needed.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
it is a lot.
I mean, you're not just having a band and being in a relationship and creating together. You're literally trying to change who you are as artists, which is like
yeah.
that can be ugly.
Yeah,
There's
it's ugly.
crying. There's bad moods. There's short fuses.
It's so weighted too, because you're like, I don't know what the hell is gonna happen with anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. It's just like
That's
it
what
was.
it takes.
Yeah.
That's entirely what it takes, though, to evolve as a human. I mean, some people believe in the slow burn evolution, or but like, I don't know. I've been addicted to everything under the sun, and I've also become not addicted to everything under the sun. And it was through stop, move on, change. Unless if this is benefiting you, if any of those things are really an asset to me. That's I feel like when it's a slow burn in a change. So that's what talking about the bookshelf metaphor or just changing the vocals. Like, are these Broadway show tune type vocals doing anything for you? Like, are you making $1,000 a month because you're like singing voiceovers for show tunes? No,
Right.
okay, then let's switch from that.
Right.
Is smoking weed doing anything for me? Absolutely not right now. So I'm just
Right.
going to leave that at the door. And if I absolutely need it, then I can readdress that. I mean, it sounds so compartmentalized, but as we know, it's a lot harder than that. But when you have two people, again, both of our solo things, we're kind of coming to, I wouldn't say a close because they're still very
Yeah, they're
much
still very much
flourishing
alive, yeah.
on the back burner, but we just wanted more. And when you want something more, you can either do your old habits and then, why is this happening to me? Why am I not succeeding? Or just say,
Right.
well, switch it all. Let's just leave it all at the door. And so many conversations where, what do you see yourself doing on stage? Do you see yourself in leather or in clown makeup or anything? You name it, you can be a firefighter on stage. You can do whatever you want. And that's where a lot of inane conversations went to, but a lot of very fruitful conversations as well. Yeah.
I attribute that sort of like headstrong thing, like, well, you just change it. Like, that's still like Detroit shit for
It
me
is.
with
It
you.
is.
Like, it's like, this guy, like, you're so Detroit.
That's true.
He is,
That's
yeah.
true.
Awesome.
Thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I've always been like super impressed by it too.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the things are still alive. Like, you still do. Like, what do you do as Jane Ellen Bryant? You
Yeah.
don't put a band together though.
I don't
You're
have
not
a b-
recording singles or
No,
records.
well, we have, I actually have new material for
You
Jane
do?
Ellen Bryant that's recorded. I just haven't figured out when to release it, and I have more that I've written that I need to record. And same with Leopold. Like,
Yeah.
he's got new material that's already recorded and ready to go, and more that we need to finish up. And some of the stuff too, like, as we recorded and wrote so much for Jane Leo at first, we didn't really know what Jane Leo was, and there's probably some songs that actually maybe make more sense in Leopold or make more sense in Jane Ellen Bryant. But we've just been both like trying to figure out what the hell was going on with this first, and then the world and everything was like so crazy. So now that like Jane Leo is like, I'm starting to really, really understand it, and I'm having so much fun with it that my mind is not really thinking about releasing Jane Ellen
Right,
Bryant
right.
stuff. But it's there, and
Well,
it's, you know.
It seems like it's exciting because there's like the whole like black and white look, and there's like a whole there's like a lot to get into.
Yeah.
When you're doing that, I imagine like you have
There is.
there's a whole everything about it is like kind of curated, and like this is the lane that we're in as these people. This is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. This is
Yeah.
what it feels like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad it seems that way.
It does. I mean, you've done a good. I mean, even like your video where you guys were doing. I can't remember what song, but like obviously in your living room, and it wasn't like one of the nice ones done in the studio.
sure.
Even that was in black and white and
Yeah.
kind of looked and felt the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
That's when you
cohesive,
know
yeah.
people are going into some detail stuff like that,
Sure.
which is great.
Well, it's really actually quite easy if you just put everything on a black and white filter. You look cohesive, but
Yeah.
but we really have like we thought about it a lot.
But
it's
still putting thought into
Yeah,
it. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
We're not getting in
Yeah.
there in sweatpants.
No,
Right,
we-
exactly,
yeah, totally.
exactly.
Yeah, no, we
Exactly.
definitely like keep a certain thing going for sure. And
I
we,
mean, yeah, speaking of the solo things, I mean, when in the past, or in like year 2, so after the first year, because when we first started the band and dating and the whole family and everything with Ava, you know, we did the year of learning curve. We were trying to write, but the world was still wide open at the time, and it's really hard to put down distraction. It's really hard to put down you know, any obligations you had before, just when you start dating or any one of those things. So we threw a bunch of things at the wall, but we were writing for all 3 entities at that time. And then when the world closed, it allowed us to completely sift through them, and we recorded everything at home. But we recorded 24, 25 songs or so at home, and then took them into the studio saying, we don't know what's going to happen with this, let's just roll it out. And you know, a lot of those were obviously Jane Ellen Bryant songs, and we went in with 3 or 4, maybe 5 that are just sitting on the shelf right now. They were like, those are never going to be Jane Leo,
yeah.
or never
Right,
going to be
right.
Leopold. And same with Leopold. They're obviously like, these are just bashers. These are just obviously never going to be
Yeah.
Jane Leo. So, I mean, when you're asking, are we actively recording singles? It's become more and more obvious as the years have gone by. Like, there's no way that can. And like you're saying, so about 16, 17 Jane Leo songs, 6 or 7 of those were easy. Once we started playing live again, to say, okay, those are obviously
yeah, we wrote all these
Right.
kind of ballads in the
tons of ballads.
in I don't know 2020, and just like things that were inspiring us at the time. And now that we've been performing, it's like, yeah, not interested in the ballads for Jane Leo. I'll save that for myself. But we're having like, I'm trying to do punk rock shit.
It's true.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of punk rock, a la Devo, you know.
Yeah. It's weird. Last night, I was trying to remember, like, I remember these things from Saturday Night Live when I was in 4th grade, spending the night at my friend's house 2 Saturdays in a row.
Oh, man.
And I thought it was back to back.
Yeah.
And one of them was, it was like 1979. Mick Jagger licked Keith Richards' face. And I remember all of us were in 4th grade. It was
Right,
like,
right.
whoa.
What just
like,
happened?
what the fuck happened to the Stones?
Yeah.
And so, and then the next week was Devo doing Satisfaction and Are We Not Men? And I remember them all throwing themselves on the ground in those weird outfits and putting their legs up and like,
Oh, yeah.
Are we not men? We are Devo. Oh, we're not men. And
That's
so,
a crazy song.
oh, fucking awesome too. And just like us, like being in 4th grade and seeing that, you're like, this is the band
Yeah.
that's going to
Yeah.
be the greatest band of all time. These
Yeah.
guys are insane.
Yeah.
They really are.
But I went back and watched it, and they were back to back. It was like the season opener. The Rolling
Wow.
Stones were hosts and the musical guests.
Oh,
What
wow.
an era.
Yeah.
What was that? There was that other TV show that's very similar to Saturday Night Live. where
Fridays.
Devo was on it in the all yellow jumpsuits with the red hats.
Red hats, yeah.
And they were singing. What's that song? That yeah.
I like that song.
Oh, Uncontrollable
Yeah,
Urge.
yeah. Yeah.
Man,
He's
so
gone.
that was one of our first videos that we were both able to watch, and just, again, it felt like it was
Yeah.
1979.
But did you guys? I only knew the song "Cool Places" from Sparks.
Right. Oh, love Sparks.
Like that's the only song I knew of them. And then I went and saw that movie
Yeah.
last summer,
Yeah.
and fucking crazy about
They're
that. But
so
it seems like
crazy.
that might be something
They're a
also
huge
that,
influence
like,
on our sound. Definitely.
it's like a band that sounds like you guys have found like a thing, like you don't sound like, and like there's no like, oh, you'd love them. They sound like,
right.
I don't know who you sound like.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking great.
Thank you.
That's hard to do.
Coming, it takes a musician to say that, to appreciate it, because like it's someone in the crowd who isn't musically,
Yeah.
geared, they'll be like, I can't relate to this,
Right,
But
right.
at the same time, musicians and everyone in the music side of things, they're like, just can't put my finger on it. What is it? But then we say Sparks and Devo and Talking Heads. And
Yeah,
this and
I get
that,
really excited after a show when somebody comes up and they like name all the people we are influenced by, and I'm like, yeah.
But the
You
thing
got
is
it.
it
Yeah.
doesn't sound like that. It
Right.
just has the spirit of
And
that.
that's
Totally.
the best.
Like
thing,
the
yeah.
going against the rules and coloring outside the lines, but in
Yeah.
a really great way.
Thank you. That's really, really
it's
encouraging.
it's been made easy because, again, with Devo being all male, or with our female influences have been like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and B-52s and
Yeah.
things like that. So to have a female singing like a Devo melody, it is on its side as
Yeah.
opposed to being right on the head. So it makes it a little easier, and also
Right, it's not somebody that's usually like a trained singer that can sing anything
Right.
singing that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and that makes it even more interesting sounding.
And
yeah.
for songwriting itself, for the first time writing in a female perspective, blew the doors wide open for me, because like it almost felt like I was in a rut of being like, you have to write the rock anthem ballad. Well, I didn't have to at all. I just needed a different inroad to a song, so to say, because we have a bunch of ballads that are so beautiful. I can't wait for those to come out too, but I don't know how or when we'd package
So-
those. But
When does the record come out?
Well, we're actually talking about that right now. We have this first record that we made at home and with Danny Reicsh in Lockhart at his studio in Good Danny's. He like took everything we did at home and just helped seal the deal and was awesome. But so we made this full record over like 3 years, and some of it probably belongs on other projects, but it's a ton of songs and a mixed and mastered record. But we have already evolved so much, like since we started playing live, that like we're realizing like if we don't get this out soon,
You're going to be a different.
we're going to be
it really is.
because we're already writing more, and which is an awesome.
already recorded
Yeah,
much
we've already
more, too.
recorded more at home that like is going in the newer direction. So we have 3 songs out from this first record, and I think we'll probably try to put the rest of it out this
We'll do
year.
one more single
Yeah.
in the next couple of months, and then put the album out by the end of the
Yeah.
year. And
just
then-
ourselves probably, and
And
then
then,
see
you
what's
know, it's
next.
good
Yeah.
problems, because
Yeah.
a lot of the time you're just like, well, we got to milk this forever because we don't have more songs. We're just like, no, we
Yeah.
got to get this out because the sound, otherwise it hinders the evolution, otherwise
Right.
we have to do this. We have to, stay on brand. Well, playing live is already like graying the lines of the brand. We play all
Right,
these songs
right.
and they're great, but we've like paired out the ones that are super energetic and people are crazy about, and then we mix them in with these brand new high energy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about like the band Suicide, and there's this band. What's that band from Detroit? The one
Go.
the Go.
MC5?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's like this. They're actually a current band. They're playing. Oh,
Wow.
I gotta look it up in a second. But it's like drum machine, like 909 stock beat with synth on top and 2 singers, and like totally, because I mean during the pandemic it was a little bit harder to have full band rehearsals
yeah,
at
dude.
home and
Yeah.
whatnot, so we're like the 2 of us are there, just press the start button and what really comes out. Jane's got a Juno, I got my guitar rig and a 909, and
Yeah.
now what?
But
Do
I think
it.
too,
And
like
that's
it
kind
took
of the sound.
It took like when you're just trying to find our sound, we found it in the studio. We found it at our home studio and with Danny. So it was like we could add as much layers and things
Yeah,
as
that's
we
true.
wanted, and that's all great. But then when we got on stage, we were like, I don't want to be stuck behind a keyboard trying to play,
Right.
2 different keyboards at once, and not, I
Right.
wanted to be more free.
Right.
And we want the ability to play full band if we want to, or play as a duo if we want to a drum machine or something. So
The
we-
duo is so great. It's crazy though, because this is the first time in my life that I've played 2 tracks, and I never thought in my
Right, right,
entire
right.
life, just so analog,
Yeah.
that I would ever be like, yeah, let's have backing tracks. But we did, and then when we started, I was like, oh, this is great. It's always the right tempo. And then I realized, man, this is feeling faker and faker as we do this. I don't even know if that's not even a word, is it, faker? But anyways, it was feeling not, because we play live band, it feel great. Then we play a duo, and it feel like, okay, we're playing the songs. Songs are songs, as long as they're good. But then that was just like a denial of like where I needed to be as a performer. So we just said, how do we make these tracks, quote unquote tracks, bare minimum? So we're not relying on like fake crashes or like fake whatever horn sections or something like that. Right. So we just put the drum beat all the way up front, and Jane's playing synth and I'm playing guitar, and that's literally what the live show has evolved into. And we've gotten the most raw, primitive reaction from the crowd, and that's what I'm used to with Leopold.
Right.
And Jane was just dabbling with that stuff when she was starting to go in a pop direction, where it's like with the big tracks, people would be like nodding and feeling good, and yeah, this is great. As soon as we just dropped all of it and just put drum machine in what we're doing, people are losing it at the shows again, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is exactly what I'm here to do.
That's cool.
You know, it's great.
You know, there's a 14-year-old me will not allow tracks to do a thing with me, because there's like a thing where no one's going to tell me what to do. right. When I'm doing it. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to feel it.
You got to feel it. Yeah.
I get that. And anytime we go see like some like that band we saw in Lockhart the other night, the badass bass player,
Tomar?
No, at Old Pal.
Oh, of course, Amplified Heat.
We saw them, and they're just raw as hell. Everyone's just, and it's like both of us were like, well, there's nothing that can replace that. Like you just can't. Like that raw energy of like everything you're hearing is happening right in front of your eyes. Like there's nothing like that you can replace. So there's always going to be a place for that in this band as well. But it's being able to do like drum machine tracks type of thing has allowed us to actually play and not be dirt poor, because we can just play, like, and go on the road, the two of us, if we needed to, like, do whatever we need to do and save money, and also hone in on like we started with the band. Danny Reicsh was playing with us, and he's now in LA in Lockhart, so he's harder to get a hold of, and then we have a badass bass player, Dana.
She's really cool,
she's
man.
Awesome, and we love playing with her.
So those a couple of those videos. Sorry, I'll let you. A couple of those videos, they're live. You guys are doing that in the moment.
Yeah.
And
that's
Danny's
live.
playing the electronic drums.
That's all
and
live.
That shit. Okay.
Yeah,
so this is fucking rad, by the way.
Cool.
And she's badass.
Oh, she's the best. So we'll have Dana with us whenever we can. Yeah. Oh yeah, she's great.
Literally the sweetest person. Literally, like, because sometimes we play as a trio. Yeah. It couldn't be a better trio if you.
It's the best.
If you literally made a wish to a genie, she'd be it. She's like the glue that. I mean, to come really into a couple. Yeah.
She's brave.
Like, that's super brave. Yeah. And there's nothing about it. It's just like she's been here all the time.
But she's also been so understanding of like us needing to. What I was like trying to say is, when we first started, it was like a 4-piece, and we hadn't figured out our thing on stage yet. So it was like, this is all great, but like, what are we doing here?
Right.
We've got to be able to like. Fucking lock in together, you know?
Yeah.
And so through playing tons of duo shows and some trio shows, we've like been able to be like, okay, we're finally like figuring out what our dynamic is, so that when we add other people back in, we're not losing that. Like that's just gonna like build on top of that.
So one thing all those conversations won't allow is stage presence. You can't talk about it. You know what I mean?
You just have to do it.
You got to get out there, and you got to get in front of people too, because playing to empty rooms is like not going to cut it. As soon as you get in front of 100, 300, 500 people, then you really know what you're made of and what you're capable of. I mean, you start doing things you don't even know your arms or legs can move that way. Yeah. Because you're fed so much energy, and you're one person versus 300. You have to give it back, too, you know? So it's amazing.
So is it tough, like, when you go in there with, like with a drum machine and stuff? Because that's the one thing I've noticed, is that it's difficult for... I've had this conversation with a lot of friends of ours that are pop people here, like Primo or Sarah Dossi or something, where you're doing this thing that is very electronic and comes through on a record, but then also comes through at like the Irwin Center where you have this giant PA
Right.
that's all set up just for you,
Right.
as opposed to throwing your shit up in between two bands at Staygold.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
especially during South by when we played like 8
Right.
shows and with no sound checks kind of thing, like we learned like, okay, like we bring this huge speaker with us on stage and we blast the tracks out from the stage
Like
out
where the drummer would sit,
where the
essentially.
drummer would
So
sit.
that you have that
So we
thing
have
coming.
that, yeah, and
because that's
also-
the thing that I don't like.
Yeah,
is-
totally. And because the people that are standing right up close, the speakers might be like slightly behind them.
Right.
And they're not feeling drums on the stage.
Exactly.
So if they're not like our monitors aren't faced towards
Right,
them.
right.
So they're just getting like this like half-ass like, wait, what's
what is
happening?
Yeah.
You know, why are they rocking
That's
out
actually
right now?
brilliant that
They're
you do
getting
that.
a concept versus what we're
Right,
trying to
Yeah.
relate. You know.
Because you watch your friends, like we watch our friends go through, like, ugh.
No, so
That's
many
tough.
times, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're still figuring out. Like
Yeah.
actually, when we were on tour with Cannons, when we were at Antone's, the sound guy was really generous and was like, "Let's play your tracks." And like just see like what
Yeah.
needs to come up or
Yeah.
down, and see like if the high or lows or whatever. And it was like, oh, okay, cool. Now we know like this is almost perfect, but we got to adjust this a little bit or whatever. It's kind of brutal, but
Yeah.
you just have to. It is like, you know. But at the same time, when you have drums on stage, you can't hear shit.
Yeah.
So like it's like
Exactly right. Yeah.
There's no winning. You know.
It's funny, that track thing, it's okay because I had this talk with her on here, but I saw Sydney Wright come off stage crying
Oh no.
after like a set at Stubbs. Like,
Yeah.
and it
'Cause
was
they stopped working or something.
it
or
was just
like-
it just wasn't happening,
Yeah,
man.
Right.
yeah.
Like the guy didn't have the thing together, and it
Yeah,
was coming
yeah.
through, and it was just like one of those things where you're like, because it takes some money behind it.
It
to
does, yeah.
It's not just like Leopold, like 3 dudes throw
Sure.
their shit on
Yeah,
stage
yeah.
and like scream
Right,
and go
right.
home,
Yeah,
and that's
no
the
doubt.
thing, you know.
Takes a lot.
It's
of
like some finesse.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had to take it into the studio a couple of times with Danny. It'd be like, again, that's when we took the tracks, we were still evolving because he was playing them live with us. So it was a lot of big learning curve. But again, when Jane just let me get dumb, she said, you know, let's bring some Leopold into this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was like, oh, I get to take off these shackles. I get to like take because everyone's doing tracks now.
Yeah,
Almost everyone.
that's a real thing.
And
yeah.
so I can't let that weigh me down. But on top of it, it's like, but how would Leopold do tracks? How would you do this if you had to? If it was just a one-man show and it was just out there. Well, this is a two-man show. Let's make this really rip. And so
Yeah.
it was like, okay, well, take everything out. And that's what we did with Leopold. At one point, we were a 5-piece, 6-piece with backing singers
right.
and drums on the side playing keys and all that stuff. And I remember at one point, when we had to go overseas is when it really set in. It's like, you guys can't bring anything. You can only bring Daniel and exactly what you need to perform these songs. It's like,
Right.
okay, Trevor, we're going. Sean, we're doing this
Yeah.
thing. And you're singing. Even though you can't sing, you're singing because the backing singers can't come. And neither can,
Right.
the keyboard player. So it's like, okay, strip it down. And every single show in Europe from that point on was always a trio. Always a trio. We eventually graduated 4-piece, but my point is that you have to make it work. You have to make it hit so hard with the bare necessities. So
Yeah.
that's where we've turned. That's what we've turned to, and that's why I loop back to just the drum machine. And then we started writing that way. And at home, we crank up the drum machine. We'll get the tones from the Lynn drum set that Prince was using,
Yeah.
and just that slams so hard.
Yeah.
Just crank that all the way up and make ourselves a little, underdog to that beat.
Yeah.
And we're dancing in the living room like crazy. My daughter comes in, she's freaking out, like, what song is this? Dance. And as soon as you
That's
have kids
awesome.
dancing, as soon as we're dancing,
You're like,
Yeah.
okay,
it's
we're
going to
doing something right.
translate.
Yeah.
It's going to translate to 1 million people out there, 1,000 people playing in front of it. So I mean, it was definitely a learning curve, but
It still is, but
it comes
it's-
down to
yeah.
you got to think like the DJs in New York in the early 80s.
Yeah.
What did they have? They didn't have anything. They had a turntable and a drum machine, and that
Yeah.
was it. Here we are, doing our best
Yeah.
1980s DJ in First Nations.
But it's awesome, though. I mean,
it's working.
yeah.
It's working.
Yeah.
how old is Ava now?
She'll be 11 this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm losing my mind on that, but that's
She's grown up way too fast.
That is. Yeah, that's so weird.
and that's how long we've known each other essentially. 'cause
Yeah.
I came down for Cabo and Indian 12 years ago.
Yeah. I remember doing this show. I had this band, Liars and Saints, and we did a show together.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had known you and Jazz from Joe Hummel's Sunday afternoon pizza
Sure.
lifestyle. He used to have that. Was so great. Do you know that guy, Joe Hummel?
I know
He's a
him.
nice
Yeah.
dude.
He just came to our South by show.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Dude, you want to hear something? You know Pally,
Yeah.
the bass player guy? Okay, so they're both from New York, and they're, hey, dude, what's up? Hey, what are you doing?
Right.
So we played this show, and Charlie Sexton was there, and he came up and he was like, dude, you know what I love is the Two Utes rhythm section. And it took me like 4 minutes. I'm walking to the bar, and I'm like, oh my God,
it's really-
these Two Utes.
Yeah. My cousin Vinny all day. Those guys.
Especially here, like
Yeah,
it really stands. Like your
It stands
your
out, yeah.
Detroitness
For sure,
wouldn't
for
stand
sure.
out in Ann Arbor, but
Oh,
here
no.
it's like a huge thing.
100%.
Yeah.
And then we, as New Yorkers, as from Detroit, we lean into it a little harder because it's there. You know, it's available to us. So like, why not? No one knows if it's Detroit or no one knows how New York we are. Well, those guys are very New York.
Yeah.
You know, and now Mike's down here from New York too, and Joe's best friend Mike.
Yeah.
And they're characters. You know?
Yeah, they
I
are.
love seeing them.
So I remember doing a show with you guys and then doing a show with you guys again like a couple of weeks later and then realizing that in between those times I saw the movie Battleship on HBO one day when I was like hungover.
Right.
And I watched it and I was like, I can't believe I'm watching this movie. You know what I mean?
Right, of course.
Rihanna was in it.
Yeah.
There was one thing I liked about it. And when the next time we did a show together, I'm like,
That's the guy.
the fucking guy. The only thing I like. Why? How?
Yeah.
Like it was so weird that I was like, that's not that guy, but that guy looks exactly like this dude in Battleship. And I can't remember who I said it to, but they were like, no,
That is
that's the guy in
That's
Battleship.
actually
And I
him,
was
yeah.
like, why is he in this band then? Like, how does he live these two? He's back, right?
Yeah, he is back. He's back.
I used to see him at Strange Brew of all weird places.
Yeah, he's
Jesse Plemons.
Yeah,
The birds are talking about him like he's
like,
not a
what
person.
guy?
This ghost man.
yeah. He's in and out of town so much. He's the busiest, hardest working artist.
What a fucking amazing
I've
actor
ever been
too.
friends with, and super talent.
Yeah.
And he's just got everything going for him because he puts all his energy into it, which is still rare. Even talking to him, I said, ask him what. I know there's nothing wrong in your life, but what's the biggest frustrations when you get to set? And he said, I just love to work so much. It's so hard sometimes. Just like in a band, just like anything else as an artist.
Dude, that shit moves so slow, dude. There's no way I could do that.
It's tough, but even, your bandmates or whatever it is, and you sometimes you feel like, am I the only one working here, But obviously he stays so busy. He's going from Scorsese to
Jane
Coppola
Campion,
this guy is doing all the movies with the top tier everybody because of that, because of his perseverance, because of his work ethic, and it's like second to none. And that's probably why we got along so well. Again, being from Detroit, you're just hustling.
Yeah.
Even when you don't need to. Sunday, that's another day of work. Let's do it. And that's Jesse's mentality too. And so it's so wonderful to watch him thrive with his wife and his kids and everything.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
You're a hard worker like that too, and you're not even from Detroit
I'm not
or
from,
wherever Jesse's from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's from Waco.
Waco. Yes, maybe there's some Texas thing.
No, Texas has a lot in common. Texas has a lot in common with the Midwest, big time.
Yeah, I mean, my parents are both super hard workers, and I don't know,
You're a
I
super
always-
hard worker.
yeah,
Very much so.
I even as like a kid, I was always like at school and then at dance and then I was like always doing stuff and keeping my self really sharp in ways. So we understood that about each other.
That's why this works.
Yeah, it wouldn't work otherwise.
I've never seen you freak out, but you've told me you would freak out in a couple of situations where I remember that we played a gig where what's his name left his drums at at the last place, like locked in his car or something.
Oh shit!
And we were about to go on stage. Like, hey, you guys are about to go on stage. We're like, oh yeah, this guy just left his drums at his last gig. And
Oh fuck!
Do you remember that?
I don't. But
You
what,
don't remember
what
that? 'Cause
gig
you were
was
like,
it?
you were like, how are you just like standing here? I would be fucking freaking out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I was
would,
like, well, if I freak out, like I've freaked out enough in my life to know that it's not going to make the show any better.
No.
It's going to make it actually worse. No one's going to be happy. We're all going to be bummed out because I freaked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
I've worked really hard to not freak out.
I'm a pretty,
I think I
like,
actually said that too.
I'm the grounded, like, pretty tame. It takes a
Very
lot to
much
make
so.
me, like, freak out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if you've really seen me freak
Out
out.
of the two of us,
I'm
I'm not the level-headed one.
No.
Let's put
Right.
it that way.
We
It's like-
balance each other out. I'm, like,
100%.
much more, like, grounded. Like, okay, let's, like, rationalize this. Let's, like, it takes, like, a lot to make me
the
angry or
anchor-
freak
the
out.
anchor, though.
Yeah, but I probably should let myself like be angry or whatever more.
Right.
If
Let it
anything,
out.
I was like raised to just kind of like suppress that in the culture and the environment that I grew up in. But
Yeah.
like, I'm learning how to like express that was messed up and you didn't want that to happen or whatever it was, you know.
Right.
But it would take a lot for me to lose my shit on a band member or something. But
Yeah.
if they locked their shit and didn't show up on a gig, I'd be pretty pissed. Yeah, you might see me freak out. But
Yeah, I was weirded out, but I didn't know what to do. Anyway, all right. So this is another thing I wanted to ask you guys about. You have like a Patreon. What do you
Yeah.
offer people on a Patreon?
that's a good question. We are kind of need to evolve our Patreon a bit because when we first started it, it was like summer of 2020 and we hadn't released music yet, and we wanted to like announce that we were a band and like get people to kind of hear what we were doing before we put it out. And so because we weren't playing shows or doing really anything, we started like a cooking show and like did all these like just fun random things and cover songs every month to get people to
Right.
have something very unique. And since we've started putting music out, it's like we also just like bought a house. We've just been so busy
Wow.
that we haven't had as much time to like do monthly cooking shows and covers songs every
Right,
week,
right.
every month. So I definitely want to grow our Patreon, especially now that we have so many new people following us and things that like it's an opportunity to definitely harness. I need to take some advice from Jamie Harris on how she does that so well. But right now if you join our Patreon, you have access to all that content, and we always like put things out first there, like before anyone else hears it. We put the songs or the photos or the updates, personal updates. We do like Zoom calls or whatever. But
I also appreciate their input more than almost anyone else will ask.
yeah, what do y'all like? What art do you like better? What picture? Whatever.
Even song opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the petri dish these days to ask industry what they think of what we're doing? Not so much, but people who are literally handing their hard-earned money over. It's to say like,
Exactly
you
right.
know, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
an amazing feat. You do get an opinion in this then, because I mean, not necessarily what would you change about this song, but this song versus that song, or things like.
Yeah, but I was so surprised, like when we first launched it, like fans of both of ours that just were like, I love what y'all are doing. I'm just gonna throw in $50 a month, even though that wasn't even one of our tiers.
Wow.
And you're like,
Yeah, it's an
wow,
incredible device.
okay, like thank you. People are
Yeah.
awesome and they want to help, and support the arts. So
It's funny that quarantine time really did awaken the like buy-in to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah, it
people were
did.
paying you for shows and like
yeah,
yeah.
it was a interesting time to say.
You
the
also
least.
have a thing on your website, sorry, but, that most people don't have, is a licensing section. Like just like you're not even fucking around. You're like, hey, there's even a section on our website.
No, I mean
That's his realm for sure.
Oh yeah,
That's literally the reason why I can still do Leopold after 15 years is
Yeah.
because that has, so much weight in it, and it's amazingly fun to do those things. We got a brief to do an ad for Tiffany's, like for a TikTok video or something, and all these words I just said, I mean, I'm getting old. I don't know what most of these things are. I don't
Yeah.
know how they function, but a company hit me up and said, hey, will you do something for this? It only has to be 4 seconds long, but it's got to have an arc, it's got to have an intro, it's got to have an end. And I was like,
It was 15
What-
seconds, yeah. But so we wrote this.
well,
yeah.
between 4 and 15 seconds,
yeah.
and it has to arc at 4, and then it's got to finish by 15. I said, I don't know what the hell you just said, but I'll give it a shot. And they're like, it's got to kind of be like Gang of Four or Devo-esque. And I was like, I understood those words. Let me give it a shot. And we literally sat down and
Yeah, you had
tried
had
it.
like an instrumental that you had already kind of like fucked around with, and so you were like, see a couple of different ones, and you're like, see which ones you feel like singing over or whatever.
Right.
And then so I tried a couple of them, and then that one I was like starting to sing and we were kind of feeling it, and finally, like, we wrote this like 15-second song that has now turned into our favorite new song that we play last at all of our shows, even though it's not out, it's not even recorded
Wow.
yet.
So through licensing, I mean, they
Yeah.
give you these prompts, and I'd say 75% of the time they don't stick.
Right.
25 pays the way for everything else, but 75%, it's a demo. You're throwing it out, but it was so good. It was like, we got to do something with this. The energy's right, and Jane was singing like a person she's never heard, a person I never heard. And we're like, that's the attitude we need to lean into. And now we have this song called Diamond Hands, and it's top 3 of our favorite, in our set that we're just cruising through and loving it. But yeah, that being said, Sync, the licensing side of everything is
It's
lucked into it in the early stages, but it's really grown into its own.
What was this song? There was a song I remember one time you were on, and I just gotten this app that I think it was like the Sling app that showed commercials, but it just showed the same commercial. It was like a Texaco commercial or something.
Texaco for sure. That was Cowboy from Leopold.
Cowboy, that's right.
Yeah, that was a gravy train, all right. And that actually just came to an end.
I saw that thing like 30 times when I had that app.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, anytime you'd watch any movie on Hulu, it'd be like the only commercial playing.
Yeah.
That's
what. Yeah.
Craziness. But I mean, that's where the money is these days, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
we're hoping we can funnel that into our new stuff, but
it will.
one step at a time.
Yeah.
We got a TikTok brief.
Yeah, that's pretty
Tiffany's,
amazing. From Tiffany's of all places. That's pretty amazing.
I mean, that's
we
the
didn't
direction
get it,
we're in. Well,
I mean,
We
at
got a
least you're
song,
going for it. Yeah.
we got the song, which
Yeah.
is way more valuable than how a couple grand here and there. But I mean, that's the direction, as you were saying, the curated black and white fashion vibe is where we're going, where we're headed anyway. So that was a great
It was awesome.
prompt to push us in that direction.
You haven't taken it all the way. Like, have you ever you guys, I have a problem with like cologne and perfume commercials. Like, they're all like real, like they pretend to be weird French, like
Right.
avant-garde films that are black and white, like Sauvage.
Yeah.
Sauvage. And they just keep on saying the same word over. It's Johnny Depp like walking around with some weird guitar.
Sure.
Sauvage.
We haven't gone that far yet.
No, which is good. Thank you.
Not yet.
But you do. There's like that. You did something stupid. That's a that's a classic.
Yeah, that was
like a
our
standard.
Patreon cover series of like a couple songs we actually released from the public that we started
baby.
there. Yeah.
What was that? What's that song called?
Oh yeah. What is that song called?
The other cover we did?
Yeah.
The
Love is Strange.
Love is Strange.
Love is Strange.
There you go.
Yeah, we've already moved. Like, I don't know. We have all these new covers we want to do as well.
Like what?
Well, I don't know. We were listening to The Who the other day in the car, and there was some.
Oh wow.
I don't know. We're still deciding, but I feel like we need a less, like, something stupid every time we play it live. We're like, no, it's not our
What's
vibe.
that song by Aha that we were just listening to?
yeah.
What's their big hit?
Take on Me.
Yeah, we're talking about
Yeah.
covering that maybe.
Yeah.
So that's a real good song.
But yeah,
That is a really good song.
It
we
is.
want like just like a more upbeat. We haven't been playing a cover live unless we have like a longer set, and we want something more upbeat. But yeah.
That band I was referencing earlier that I couldn't think of their name, they're called Adult.
Oh yeah.
And they're from Detroit. And
Okay.
if you haven't had a chance yet,
No,
they're
I'll check them out.
amazing. I think
Yeah.
they were supposed to come to the Parish, but I think something happened in the Parish. I think it closed.
Yeah.
I think it closed. I
Yeah.
went
Right.
there for a comedy show the other
Okay.
night, and then I ended up having to go to the
It's at
North
the new
Door.
North
Oh,
Door.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, they were supposed to come to the old parish, and it didn't happen. Or it's going to happen. I don't know the details, but yeah, they're still active. But they started doing their thing in like 2000 or 2002. The golden age of that sound.
Do you guys have a manager?
No,
You did South by Southwest though, right?
Mm-hmm.
What? How was that?
it was awesome. I thought that this year's South by was like great because it didn't seem as overwhelming as it had right up
Yeah,
before
beautiful.
the pandemic. It was like this like little reset of. It felt like local talent still really had a place, and the shows we played at like the Hotel Vegas zone in general, like every time we showed up, it was like a packed audience ready
Yeah.
to fucking party,
Yeah.
and it was so
Yeah.
fun, you
Yeah.
know, to have that like people from all over in your home backyard,
Yeah.
basically. You know, it reminded me of like what the charm of South by. You know, it's still crazy and whatever, but it was totally worth it. And you just never know. We met people from Montreal and all over that were like just out to discover.
It was classic South by, but we're talking about like at least a decade ago classic, you know, just something that it's very local, but then all of a sudden you're running into all these worldwide people, or Beck's walking down the street and you're like, that's freaking Beck. And but it wasn't overpopulated with Beck's, you know, it was like there's the Beck.
Beck's didn't take over.
Yeah. We weren't swarmed with Beck's, you know? Which was great. I mean, it's been so long since it's been that way. Because we did again, talking about licensing side, there's the film side, obviously, and we hit that side so hard, and we went to Paramount for a bunch of different movies, but we played 6 of our 8 shows on the film side, and then only did 2 on the music side, because, I mean...
And that's kind of the sneaky, smart way to do
things. It's a
things.
sneaky way.
Yeah.
We're going to edit that out, because we don't want
everyone
to
to find out.
They'll forget by next year.
Yeah, for sure.
There was something I was just about to ask you about that. So you did was your showcase, official showcase, like at midnight on Saturday? Is that right?
It was midnight on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Midnight on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, I had a year in the 90s where I had 1 a.m. on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember my manager was like, okay, guys, like, you know, it's going to be big, man. We got this guy coming in from this label, and he is just dying to see you guys. That guy walked in like at, you know, 12:30. He was done.
Right.
Like fucking done.
Right.
And I don't even know if he stayed through the whole first song.
Yeah.
Like I saw him leave. It was one of those places where the stage is next to the door, which I'm sure was probably terrible for him too.
Yeah.
But he must have been feeling bad enough to be like, fuck it, I'm going.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not signing them. Not signing anything. I'm out of here.
Sure.
As a thing for the actual like showcases, that was...
It's rough, those things.
It's rough, yeah. Unless you're like, you've got big strings that are pulling for you.
You don't need any of the things that you'd be offered anyways. You get great showcases.
Yeah, you don't need a showcase if you're in that position. So it's like, it's pretty, that's a little messed up, but...
Outside of feeling left out. Like, that's the main thing that happens if you don't play an official showcase.
Right. Exactly.
It's just a weird sort of
it just is like...
I'm not one of the guys now. What happened? Remember me?
I don't get a backpack.
Exactly.
From
like,
which they discontinued anyways.
Yeah, they didn't even give us backpacks.
They changed it to just a canvas tote. And I'm not standing in a line for a canvas tote. I got enough... Well, the Whole Foods canvas totes, you know.
The only time that I felt like the actual official showcase made sense and really was like... it was terrible sonically and everything because we just jumped in between 8 bands and you know, played 40 minutes, but was when we already had a deal and everything.
Sure.
Right.
Like then all these cool people came and like, you know what I mean?
You're right.
And
then
it was
it's like set up for a thing, but like the amount of like people from like our showcase kind of made me a little sad because it was on a Tuesday night at like a random bar.
Yeah.
And not really a venue.
Not really. I've had that too, which sucks.
And there were bands from all over the world that had probably like Mexico, Hawaii. Yeah, like they probably paid so much.
They came for that show.
Yeah, that was the only show they played. And they're like, we showed up and it's like our 7th show or something, and we're like, well, we're doing this, and it actually turned out to be a great fun show. But
perfectly great show for a Tuesday.
But
night.
I wouldn't fly somewhere for absolutely not. No, we make like $0. Like, what do you like? These poor bands were like so nervous and so excited, thinking that there was like anybody in the audience that wasn't just some dude getting drunk back there. Like it was just like, you know,
it's harsh.
It's harsh, and that's like such a money grabber for whatever.
Yeah, dude, that's what some band comes from Sweden and they're playing like in a parking lot next to a hot dog stand on like 7th Street or something. Like just like what the fuck did I leave my house for?
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah,
when you can just go in your backyard when you live in Austin, the expectations and the pressure is totally off, and that actually makes for great shows.
Yeah.
We live here; we're not paying insane hotel fees or whatever to stay here, you know. But
some of the Hotel Vegas shows were the best of you know, of Jane Leo's existence. We were playing there wall to wall, you know, a couple hundred people, and
it was so fun. But
didn't know half of them and knew the other half, so it was great. You have the camaraderie of your, you know, friends, and then wonder of the other half, and it was like, this is a beautiful thing happening right now. So did that a bunch, and all those shows were flawless, just like so much good energy, and we were really just honing in those new songs we were just talking about. We had never played them out live. We had only played the ones we talked about, but all of a sudden we got a resurgence of creativity, wrote a ton of songs, and we're like, what better time than when you have to play 7 shows in a row just to crank them out? And we played those, and the crowds were losing their dang minds.
It's totally worth it if you live here.
100%.
But
it's tough if you're from somewhere else.
As far as I would drive is if I lived in Waco. That's how far I would drive for South by, personally. Any further, I wouldn't make it.
I don't know though. We had a blowout in Waco.
That's
last
true.
Week.
We did.
You did?
Yeah.
That was harsh.
Like a blowout fight or a tire blowout?
Oh, tire blowout.
Oh,
and 200 miles on a donut.
Yeah. Brutal.
3-hour drive from Dallas turned into a 6-hour drive. It was.
Do you guys play up there?
We did at the Cannons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Where are you? What's next for you? I noticed that you guys came on when you've already just played all of your gigs.
Oh, well, we have that Austin Music Revival. Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah. End of May.
End of May. There's like a local festival that's at like Antone's and at Empire. We're at Empire on that Saturday, May 29th.
Mm-hmm. It's like Jackie Benson and Abby the Nomad, and then blanking on the other.
Yeah, it'll be fun. That's our next local thing, and then I'm sure there will be more. But we kind of that's the next big thing. We're gonna take, I think, the first few weeks in May to finally get back to writing, because we just have been non-freaking stop with life stuff and shows, and just kind of in survival mode for the last 2 months. When you move is like a nightmare. So
move and then into South by, into a tour.
Where'd you guys move?
Lockhart. We live in Lockhart.
Oh, so you guys made the move.
We made the move.
Wow.
The move, yeah.
Oh, so that's why they were like, they'll be like, when I was doing it, I was like, why is this so weird? They have to do it at a certain.
Oh, yeah, we just drop Dave off at school.
Right,
and we're here, yeah.
How far is Lockhart?
It's not that far, but we just try to cram it all into, do all of our Austin errands on Monday.
That's what most of my friends that live in. I actually, for the first time, I don't know if this is even for the podcast, but for the first time, like 3 weeks ago, I had this like, I think I might move to Smithville.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard good things about Smithville.
I had that feeling about like, I can come back here and do my shit 2 days a week.
Yeah.
I have a room at space.
It's really...
How far is Smithville? I don't...
30 minutes.
Yeah, it's
40
like
minutes. I have a dog now,
Need some
puppy.
space.
Yeah, I mean...
to have a yard.
Yeah.
I feel like Bastrop, Smithville, Taylor, Lockhart, like there's just...
Smithville, right.
Yeah,
it's
there's...
beautiful out there.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'd love to be able to play piano at like midnight if I wanted to.
Yeah. We've only been there like 2 months, and we absolutely love it. And there's so many, in Lockhart specifically, there's just so many artists and musicians that have moved out there. We started going to Lockhart because that's where Good Danny's studio is. And so like 3 years ago, we were going out there for the first time and would record all day and then go eat in the square and whatever. And we're like, oh, that's kind of cool. But
everything's down there. My Leopold tour manager lives down there. Steve Alcala.
Oh yeah.
So he lives down there. He
does such a great job. I know you guys do stuff with other people too, but I feel like he's the guy that was there with you defining that look
100%.
of the band.
100%.
Yeah, he and Aaron Brooke.
Sure.
Aaron's great.
Both of them.
That's where we used to live.
Aaron's
Aaron
our
lived 2 doors down, so
Yeah.
anytime anything, she got a new dress, she'd like run down and be like, let's try a photo shoot. Like,
And she'd come over and just let me dig into her vintage closet. And
it makes it so easy. And
so
Ava
nice,
and all her boys were like a little gang, like Sandlot gang. And,
but Steve was in the studio taking pictures. He was, he took the picture that we put out, the Borderline single. He took that picture.
He's the best personality to
And you guys you took him on the road with you at one point, right?
Leopold, for years, he would go on the road with us. And he started as our photographer, but he's another crazy hard worker. We're talking about like 20 hours a day type of guy. And, he just couldn't sit still. So the next thing you know, we couldn't tour without him with band dynamics and everything else. He was that,
He's also like a rock solid like personality where
just like Dana, they're like smooth out any edge we might have from what's going on at home.
Right.
Both those humans are able to diffuse
even
that
keel.
And then raise us back up, which is exactly what you need out of bandmates, not just someone else who's also edgy, someone else who is also, they just really, so he is made his way into this band for sure.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so he's down there. He's doing good.
That's good.
Is this over already?
I don't know. Is it?
Oh, I don't know. It's going really fast.
I can't see if it's. Oh yeah, man. Been going for a while.
I got some content.
You're trying to get us out of here.
No, I'm not trying to get you out of here. Do you want to meet my dog?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
Yeah.
And we'll need to take a picture. But I was just going to say, it's been great talking to you and catching
good
up.
talking to you.
Also, like, dude, this stuff is fucking great. It is
Thank
really,
you.
really,
Thank
really
you.
great.
We
And
gotta
I'm
send you more too.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you, because I love it, and just the
You got to come see a show. That's where it's
yes,
really blossoming,
yeah,
I think.
I do need to see a show.
Yeah.
Also,
I was
got to come to Lockhart. And
Yeah.
make that happened too.
Maybe you
Yeah.
move to
we got a
Lockhart
lot of
instead of
things. We got a
Smithville.
list to go
Invite
through,
me to
you know.
Lockhart.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd move to Lockhart. Yeah,
Yeah.
Smithville was just the name of a place outside of Austin that wasn't Dripping Springs or something.
Yeah.
You would love Lockhart.
Yeah.
I mean, you would love it.
Tired of traffic. Like every time I
Yeah.
want to do something,
We
it's
ride
just
our
a
bikes
drag.
every day.
Oh, that's
Every day.
awesome.
Yeah.
Every day.
It's like
That's awesome.
Mayberry shit.
It is. Seriously, you want to become Andy Griffith? We know a place.
I'm ready.
We got a place for you.
I'd rather be, what was it, Don Knotts guy in the,
Oh,
what
yeah.
was his character?
Barney Fife.
Barney Fife,
That's
baby.
great.
Yeah. That's
perfect.
good.
Well, we got a spot for you down there.
Well, people can find you guys at janeleo.com. Amazing work, and tell Danny I said hi next time you talk to him. I haven't seen him in a long time. And I do want to come see you guys live.
End of this
Yeah.
month, we'll see him.
Yeah.
Yeah?
He's coming back for a little bit.
All right. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you.
Thanks for having us.
I've got to send a message. Left and right side disconnected.
That's Daniel Leopold and Jane Ellen Bryant. Jane Leo. Check out their music. Find them at janeleo.com. Great conversation. Great conversation. I love them both very, very much, and they need to invite me to their house for dinner. All right? This music is all produced by Danny Reicsh. Great producer. Love that dude. Super busy, too. He was on the show quite a few years ago. janeleo.com is where you want to go and find Borderline, The More You Know, Something Stupid, Tell Me I'm on Your Mind. All this great stuff. You get links to their to wherever it is, their socials, their streaming services, everything. Jane Leo. Find them at janeleo.com. And don't forget, gang, when you're checking out janeleo.com, you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you find podcasts. New shows every Tuesday and every Friday. Sorry, I'm stressed out, and I'm trying to do this and keep the best the best attitude I can. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and have a great week. All right, stay strong. Let's get down.
Flush it out with venom, or leave it chained up in the basement. Half of you is still half of me. Strategic self-effacement. Too deep in the first place. While the last blood still uncontained. It's yours to drown in everything. Always on balance beam, or falling somewhere in between. A tragic murder scene.